has a link that allows you to connect.
We need some guilty people in here. Like, well, who are the people
I'm
that
begging,
think
I'm begging
she's
for
guilty?
some
Where are you?
This is what I can do. I can promise you that we will be very respectful to you, and we will listen to your arguments. That's all we ask for anybody. But I would love to have some opinions on the other side. Ada Brown, welcome, by the way. Any thoughts? You're just enjoying the live streaming on both sides. I can see that. You're muted. Still muted.
I can barely stream myself. I have no idea how you would restream somebody.
It worked, though.
It worked.
It worked for me.
It's through Streamyard, Ivan. You basically click this. I think you need a Streamyard account, and you link your social media account to Streamyard, and then when you join as a guest using your login, you can also stream to your account at the same time. So it would be live on your channel at the same time. But we can talk about that later. Ada, did you have anything trial related about this? I can't hear you. Still muted.
Yes, you can now.
Yep.
I was trying to do all my things and I didn't want to say something I shouldn't. Where are y'all at in this? Where are y'all talking? Because I just hopped in.
Well, we're really doing a free for all because it's verdict watch. Everything's on the table for the Karen Reed trial. If there's anything else court related, we can wander off the topic a little bit, but we've made it sort of like an open forum. You can come and go as needed, and we'll just roll with the conversation that way. We just ask everyone to keep it brief and keep it respectful, and
we're good. My whole thing is I started this jury with trying to figure out. I mean, I came in blind. I didn't really know anything other than she was accused of killing her boyfriend, who was a cop. And I have tried very, very hard to find reason to find guilt. When I listened to the prosecution, I'm devil's advocate. When I listened to the defense, I'm devil's advocate. There was not much devil's advocate on the defense side at all. There are just a few minor things that concern me. A lot of people I think are putting weight in the phone calls, which at least the people that I'm with, putting a lot of weight in the phone calls and how angry she was. And I'm like, how many times have we been in relationships where we have blown up and lost our cool and said things? Sorry, women, we're more prone than men. But
I can't answer. I can't not. I can't say yes. That's a catch-22, huh? Braxton. We're just going to sit here. We can't agree with you on that.
You know, it just appalls me that this even got to trial.
Let me ask you. You bring about the evidence, and first, let me welcome Brybear. Welcome, good to have you here. I'll go to you in just a second. Let me ask this: through this trial, is there any evidence? And by evidence, I'm talking about log, some sort of track or record, vehicle equipment record, phone. So, is there any evidence that you just got on face value through this trial?
No. I guess, as you well know, I have a vast background, and the mechanics really bother me with the vehicle. I'm much older than I look. I'm 50 plus. I'm not going to say anything else about that. But in my 20s, I had a significant that had an automotive repair shop and also a car lot. I did Bondo work. I used to replace headlight, taillights, bumpers. I did a lot of mechanics. And day one, this theory with the headlight never settled with me. First of all, it's not glass, it's plastic. And plastic doesn't shatter into 45 pieces. Not that kind of plastic, not with that kind of impact.
Maybe if it was shot with a cannon.
Yeah. But also, as a first responder, EMT, firefighter, I've seen a lot of impact wounds. We've had several. I've seen multiple people hit by vehicles. In fact, I witnessed one, and it doesn't compute. It doesn't. The law of physics doesn't fit.
It's not
the
mathing.
Don't fit.
It doesn't add up.
You must have quit. No, I'm kidding.
Let me jump to Brybear really quickly. Brybear, first of all, welcome. Brief introduction. Where are you connecting from?
I'm in Connecticut. I'm a critical care respiratory therapist, and I've been very immersed in this trial since the very beginning. And I have to say, I have gone back and forth, to use one of Trooper Proctor's words, waffled. I was actually at a point where I thought, you know what? She probably hit him. It probably wasn't on purpose, but maybe an accident. There was maybe some of that taillight at the scene, and they maybe padded evidence. Maybe they just added a little bit more to make their case better. But then we got to the end. And when those two gentlemen from ARCA, who weren't paid by the defense, who obviously were brought in by the Department of Justice, said it just couldn't have happened that way. So essentially where we're left is she didn't hit him. So she's not guilty. Maybe they could get her for driving while intoxicated, you know, by extrapolating all that stuff, which I'm still not on board with either, because again, the expert from that lab said, yeah, I came up with these numbers, but we're not going to certify them because we just can't do that. But these are the numbers I came up with. So that's pretty much how I've ended with this case. Not guilty on all counts.
So tell me, let me back up one more second. Your profession, one more time.
Respiratory therapist. I work in adult critical care.
All right. So,
and just one other piece with that, I see motor vehicle trauma very frequently.
That's what I was going to ask. Just in your own viewpoint, does that add up?
The injuries to him do not reflect what my experience is with someone being hit at 25 miles an hour. Yeah. And plus, using common sense, those marks on his arm are dog bites. I don't care what anyone says. I've seen dog bites in the emergency room as well.
That is probably one of the most hotly contested items of this case, is the source of the injury on the arms. I don't know why that became like, probably because it points to the finger of blame of the Alberts, right? It puts some accountability, even if it's just from being a pet owner, on the residents of the home instead of just on Karen Reed.
Well, because it's so obviously not road rash either. Anybody who's ever seen road rash or seen the effects of being, slid across, that isn't how that presents itself. So anybody who's ever dumped a bike or a motorcycle or even just slid off of a sled in the snow or anything, those aren't the marks that you would get as a result of anything mimicking road rash. So I think that's the other part. I think it's obviously part to do with the Alberts, but I think anybody who's ever seen on their child or on themselves road rash knows that that's not what it looks like.
Yeah.
I want to know how nobody could find that rehomed dog. Not even Karen's private investigator. It can't be that difficult.
That dog is not in Vermont. Okay.
I know
I
where
think
it
it's
is.
over the rainbow.
Ada
It's
has
a
the
witness protection program. It'll return home after trial's over.
with a new name. Yes.
I want to comment on Bear's comment about the arm and the dog.
Okay.
Recovery Addict, do you remember what I talked about with the glass?
I don't remember what I did this morning. This is
When I saw the glass the first time they pulled it out of the bag, I said that if it's not a dog bite, which I'm still on the big fence. I was a dog groomer. I've been bit many a times, but I was on the fence on, is it possible that the glass is what we use? Now, if you hit somebody with a heavy enough glass, you can do some really good damage.
Mm-hmm.
But could the broken glass be defensive wounds with somebody trying to strike him with a broken glass? Because you got
I don't think
drag.
I don't think the glass could have been the head wound, but as far as his arm, actually, I was thinking if the state they're really buying into this, the taillight had to do this damage on the arm, right? Because that takes the dog out of the picture. But wouldn't it have been easy to? Okay, here's my thoughts. If start with the scenario, if the taillight caused this and you need to prove that it caused it, I would take the taillight. I would take the pieces that are still fixed to the housing, because they're going to be the ones that are firm enough they're not giving way, they're not shattering and moving out of the way as the elbow hits, but they're firm enough to cause some sort of scrape. Okay, because they remain fixed on one side and it scrapes across the body. So you should be able to literally hold that picture of his arm right up to the taillight and say, look, here are the sharp parts and where they match up, and here's how they scraped across. And because it was just one impact, there should be enough sharp parts to make all those injuries.
Exactly.
They didn't do that.
The problem
I'm
was,
just trying to see how the glass fits in the picture. It's big hypothetical.
I just don't think the Commonwealth was able to prove any of it. So for me, I just ignore it. There was no DNA in the tail light. That's an issue. If you're trying to say that the tail light is what did it, road rash, which honestly I don't think the Commonwealth got to until midway through the trial. In my head, I was like, how was he killed? I mean, all I could think about was the only way I could see him being killed from this is his body getting rolled over by the SUV. That's the only thing I could imagine where this would be, him just not getting knocked, just given the circumstances. But then when we got to the point where, there were no injuries below the neck, what is going on here?
Would there be some internal bleeding being hit by a vehicle at that speed, or just the impact of the force being launched 30 feet? I mean,
a bruise or something?
Go jump off a second-story building. No, don't do that. But you're gonna have some. 30 feet. To be launched that far is, especially with the impact of the vehicle at 25. You can total a vehicle far less than 25 miles an hour, way less than that. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's sad, and I hate to have to bring this up, but I don't know if anyone has hit a deer in a vehicle before. Okay, but the weight of a deer and the weight of a human are somewhat similar. Their body, the mass is located a little bit differently. But imagine, if you've got a friend, I've got a sister who I think she hits deer out of habit. I don't know. They find her. She finds deer, but it can total a car. And you don't have to be doing 55, 60 miles an hour to have that happen. There are dents all over the place. That everywhere the body of the deer hits the vehicle, there's an impact mark. There's blood. There's scrapes. There's
get a deer, a turkey will total your windshield, shatter your windshield.
Talking about totaling a car by hitting something. I'm from the South. I've totaled a car from hitting an armadillo. So it is possible.
An armadillo is just a possum wearing body armor.
Yes,
you know that, right?
but they are very hard, and they will destroy underneath your car. Big time, just in case you were wondering. But I hit one at 50 miles an hour. It did not go well for either of us in the end. The Armadillo RB, because I had a destroyed car after the fact. It just destroyed all my suspension, everything. And the car was totaled in the end.
Yeah.
So
he was drunk.
I actually hit. I was going forward at the time, not reverse, and it was 25 miles an hour because I was just exiting the village, and I hit a deer in a glancing blow off the front right of my car, similar to what now that I'm thinking about it, similar to what they're saying. The Commonwealth is saying how John was hit, and there were chunks of deer all down the side of my car. It wasn't just, a light got broken and I went about my merry way. There was $2,000 worth of damage and deer hair and flesh on the car. So to have nothing left on that car except that teeny tiny hair that made it 60 miles through a blizzard. So
Yeah,
no dents,
unreal.
No real dents on the car.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I'd expect some body damage.
I want to ask a question. We have the vehicle of John O'Keefe. I was waiting for them to enter that into evidence. They never matched them up, number one. But once again, being a body girl, when did they actually photograph that car? That car was detailed to the max.
That was exactly my
And they
thought.
showed the wrong part of the vehicle. So when I blew up the back shot, it was flawless and perfect. And I'm thinking, did somebody do some repair on this vehicle? It was too pristine. If they had taken the pictures right after the snow and after he had passed and nobody moved the vehicle, nobody touched the vehicle. You remember on Karen Reed's vehicle, once the snow melted, when they took the close-ups of the hair, you could see the water particles all over the black of the vehicle. You can see the water spots. Well, you would have seen the same thing on his car. But it was, you know how you take the Armor All and you do the black or whatever they do nowadays? It was too pristine. So I want to know when those were taken and why they didn't match them up. Because my mother has the same vehicle as Karen Reed. And I got to tell you, that is high, but the bumper would have clipped his legs, probably would have damaged his knees at minimal, would have caused bruising. I don't care how high the headlight is.
There's a picture. There's a picture of the car that you can see. You're looking head on at the back corner, and the far corner gives you a great profile. You're looking exactly at the profile, and the taillight does stick out a tiny bit further than the bumper, but they're almost, I mean, they're within an inch or so of each other. And so you can't.
And depends on the angle in which you're hit.
Yeah.
And
so what I was thinking is if he was leaning over and it hit his head, there wouldn't necessarily be a bump. Hits his head, he's drunk, falls, again, connects, and he just is like a little concussed, and it's the hypothermia. That also because he's drunk people are floppy, they get less injured in accidents often.
I thought about that. That would account for a couple things, like the phone going with him, like he was trying to get it out of his pocket. He's like, "Oh, I'm injured," and he stumbles over there. But the testimony we got from the doctor is that the blow on the back of the head that was so hard that actually shattered some of the bones in his eye was an incapacitating blow. That moment means he couldn't have moved on his own at all from then. So, and plus, where are the rest of the injuries if it got hit in the head, right? Even if he was like leaning over, pointed towards the car, and the head was the only thing that got struck. If you can somehow Gumby a crash test dummy into that position and make that work, it would have crushed the neck, the spinal column. The arms would have come up and struck the vehicle and caused damage. There's just I can't build a scenario in my head now that makes him get injured. I can see him throwing the cup at her as they're having a fight. He gets out, he's walking away. She starts driving away. He throws the cup at the car. He's like, "Screw you," type thing. She slams on the brakes, hits reverse to go talk to him, and he gets bumped and falls over. But that puts him in the street, not on the lawn.
But 24 miles an hour, man, like
I don't think he wasn't hit at 24 miles an hour.
My other issue becomes what Brandy Churchwell said with blood coming down this way. That's not what's happening if you're knocked to the ground. The blood would go to the side, either side, but it's not coming down your shirt. And that is an issue that really no one took on. I just was kind of surprised that no one took on that issue, because Brandy kept talking about that. The shirt had blood and stuff in the front of it, and it's just hard to imagine that gravity would be pulling your blood up and towards the bottom of your shirt.
His ears would have blood in them. I talked a lot about this. I was on car from day one. I saw the blood pattern. I went, "That's a fight. That's a vertical nosebleed." It's not. And the same on the back of the shirt.
Even the cuts on the face.
There's no way that blood fell. I mean, and the thing is that nobody talked about the fire hydrant. Some people were talking about well, if she did hit him, and he hit the fire hydrant, that would be hard enough surface to cause damage to the back of the head. But the problem is nobody tested the fire hydrant for hair, blood, or DNA or anything. That was stupid. You have a potential hard surface that he could have hit. If you really want to prove that she hit him, he fell back, he hit the fire hydrant, she left. That's more plausible than the crap that they're feeding us now.
It still
And
gets
then
them too far away from the fire hydrant with
yeah,
that
I
blow.
know, but I'm just saying it's more plausible than what we're getting now. And you were talking about the hands. If his arm had hit that vehicle, his shoulder would have been damaged. It could have damaged the collarbone, the neck, not just scratches.
Okay, I'm sorry. Adam is going
Adam's
shopping on the
shopping,
live
or-
stream, and I can't
I'm
stop
watching
looking at
this
what
going-
he's buying. We have a
You know,
watermelon.
what?
He's looking at goldfish right now.
Here's
Watermelon.
what's even
Yeah.
better.
I'll do a cart
My
tour.
friend,
Let me welcome Adam. We have Thal, who's audio only, and we also have Allison Alibi from Tennessee. Welcome. Let's start with Allison. Do you want a quick intro where you're connecting from?
Hi, y'all. Allie B. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Awesome. Wonderful, wonderful. Let's let you start because we've heard from Thal and Adam before, and we know how that's gonna go. That might be where we end if we start with them. So, what's on your mind, Allison?
Yeah, so I definitely am on the not guilty side. I've heard all that you are discussing with the car and the injuries and all that, but another pure sign for me is just all the shadiness with the text messages, with that one, I can't think of his name, dropping, throwing his phone away and dropping at the military base.
Brian Higgins.
Yes, thank you, Higgins. I think there's just a lot that shows that there was a little bit of corruption. I mean, Proctor's text, I don't know. They say it's not professional, but that's just not normal. I wouldn't think. I would hope not.
Allison, about that, do you believe that it would be possible to have those sort of texts and that conversation with friends, with coworkers, with family, and have it not affect the investigation?
No. And the other really big thing that bothers me is that John O'Keefe is never going to get true justice because they did not go inside of that house to at least investigate. And that is the biggest frustration I have, is that had they gone in there to at least rule out that there was no foul play inside of the house, I think that would have cleared up a lot. And lastly, I'll say that I have met in the past few months, just randomly, a bunch of people from Boston here in Nashville. They are all Karen Reed fans, and they are they're so pleasant to be around. And I love the Boston accents. And no, but seriously, I do. I feel bad for Karen. I feel bad for John's family. I think it's just a hard situation all around. It really is, because there's no investigation. That's it. That's my thoughts.
I feel stupid for asking you where you're connecting from, Allison, after reading Allie B from Tennessee.
Nashville.
Sorry about that. It's like Mr. Lally when the guy reads his resume and he's like, "So what school did you graduate?" And he's like, "I just said." I'm like, "Sorry, I wasn't listening."
And was that
okay.
snow?
Tom, welcome, Tom. Brief intro from you as well, and then we're going to jump to Adam and Thal for a quick thought.
I just I'm over here in Tampa, Florida. So just wanted to bring up one quick story that I said in chat about my brother's friend actually hit a person late one night going about 35 miles an hour that was bent over in the middle of a road that was very dark. He never saw him. So the guy ended up not getting thrown anywhere and actually really ended up going underneath his car, and that's what kind of did him in. So the whole being thrown 30 feet is what's really got me confused with the stuff.
It leaves me with trying to solve the problem. Okay, I'm trying to put John there at the car crash, and it leaves us to build conspiracies. That's why so many conspiracies have come out. It's like, well,
yeah,
maybe that happened because what we're being told didn't happen, and it's quite obvious. Thanks, Tom. Adam, Thal, which one of you? Thal's voice only. Are you there, Thal? It says well-behaved Thal on my end. Let me see if I can unmute him. Nope, he chose to mute himself. So
Sorry, yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I got a high performance mic and I pulled it out of the closet for this, so I was gonna like, if it works.
How do we rank? That's awesome.
And I'm not too loud, all right? I'm not like
Sounds
killing
great.
anything. Okay,
That's good.
on the where'd he go? The one guy that had the guy that got hit in the middle of the road.
Tom from Florida.
Yeah, Tom. More than likely, what happened was that since he was angled over, his disposition of weight is down toward the ground. So as soon as you have a propelling force behind him pushing him, it propelled him into the ground, not forward. That's probably why he didn't get thrown.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, a more interesting question, and it kind of piggybacks on your recovery addict question. Two of them, actually. First one is I'd love for the panel to discuss how the jury gets to a guilty verdict. Okay, we all know you're not on the not guilty fence, so am I. But I'd really love to hear your guys' thoughts on how do we, what could we use to get to some kind of guilty verdict somehow? That's a really tough question too, because there's so much defeating it. So I understand it's a tough question. And second question, real quick, recovery addict, just real quick. Mm-hmm. Second question, how bad of a butt whooping do you think recovery addict got from his wife for messing her counter up?
You know she's in chat right now, right? Now you're just reminding her. Let me talk to your first one really quickly, and then we'll turn it over to all the guests. The question, if I remember right, I have a short memory, is how does the jury get to a guilty verdict? They have to. If you've been following this case on X, on Twitter, it's probably the most volatile platform. I would say even more so than YouTube. And YouTube's got some pretty volatile people, pretty vocal, but Twitter is just like open, and people have been sharing everything. There are people who are screaming from the rooftops and who watch the exact same thing. They watch the exact same cross-examination by Mr. Jackson, and they come to a different conclusion than I do. I look at that and I look at the closing by Mr. Jackson. I say that was textbook, and they look at the exact same thing and they tweet out, "I've never seen a worse closing." And it means that people are looking at the case like this. They've got their set of the facts. They've got something they accept, and anything that falls outside of that, they won't allow in. So I have to think that if a jury comes to a conclusion to convict where there is reasonable doubt, I am still in the boat that I think, and this sounds crazy, I still think there's a way that Karen Reed did somehow hit him with her car that night.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that nothing happened. Something definitely happened there. It just wasn't the way the state spelled it out. Anybody else have thoughts on that? Vicky, you want to start, and then Jordy?
So I just randomly remembered something. When I was about 19, I actually got hit by a moving car that was going, I just did the calculation, about 40 miles an hour. And I fell back like that on the road, fell back, and all that was hurt was like my arms were a little sore and my elbows were a bit scraped up, but I was fine. So I just wanted to add that. Other than that, how to get to a guilty, I don't know, because I can never think like a jury truly, because they always return the opposite verdict of what I would. So I find it really hard.
All right, Jordy, and then Allison.
I'll tell you how I get to guilty. And I don't think this is doable, and it's not personal, but you have to remove Jennifer McCabe and Michael Proctor completely. If you can remove those two for me, I can get to guilty 100%. Jennifer McCabe, it's just too much that doesn't sit right with me. And Michael Proctor, if he was just had an ounce of smarts in him and just gave it to anybody else, he would have removed so much bias, so many bad appearances. And like we were saying, like I said, there's just no way you're speaking about her like that and you are gonna say that the investigation, what was the word he said? It was I don't know. He said the investigation basically was done well or held to some high standard or whatever. I can't remember the word he said.
It was textbook. It was exactly the way they taught in the police academy.
If that's
solo cups and all.
I feel horrible for
I think he did use a lot of solo cups at his police academy. That's all I can say. But Allison, what are your thoughts?
I think I agree with Jordy on getting rid of Proctor and the other one, but also Trooper Paul. I mean, you know, him getting up there and just like literally like sweating, looking like, you know, he's rehearsing something, and he looked so just ashamed, or I don't know what the right word is, but like he was not telling the truth. So, so that, or I hate to think of this, but if there are one of those people that is like we've seen on Twitter that had it in their minds that she's guilty from the beginning, and they're hard-headed and they won't change for whatever reason, or if there's more corruption with the jury and something really corrupt happened, they were paid, or who knows, then that's how I would get there. Other than that, there's no way.
Yeah.
Confirmation bias, basically.
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
We often get accused of that on YouTube, of only listening, or, you know, even only putting the chats up on screen that agree with what I think, right? So I'm constantly trying to seek out the ones that disagree and put them up, because I think the conversation is important. And if I can't see it, I want somebody to bring it to my attention if I'm being narrow-sighted like that. Had another question. I forgot what it was, because you guys had some great comments in the meantime. Ivan, welcome back. I see you've brought a friend.
This is Scout. This is my cousin Zach's dog. This is Scout.
Australian sheepdog? My eyes are bad. What?
If my life depended on it, I couldn't tell you. I just wanted to wanted to answer Saul's question, how they get to the guilty verdict. I think that maybe at the end of the day they go with, if it wasn't her, who else would it be? And I know that isn't evidence, but again, I feel as if a question like that presented with, you know, the bits and pieces, because there is some evidence, right? Like, I was going to ask, what if that taillight isn't broken? What do they do? Like, are they able to charge if that taillight isn't broken?
I don't think we can go back in time and document that. They did a good job of accidentally not having those videos for that portion, so we'll never know. But interesting. Lori AZ, I'm gonna bring her on as well. Sorry, Lori, welcome. And Mrs. What?
Hey everybody.
Mrs. RA is here as well. She's gonna chime in. Have you forgiven me for the whole counter incident yet? No.
Okay.
We haven't either.
How Braxton says
I guess
he
I
gets
missed
to give-
that.
That was a definite no, wasn't it?
It was a no.
Yeah.
Okay, I know how they get guilty. Like, legit. If they come back guilty, I know how, and I'm putting it squarely on Jackson's shoulders, because he went in there and he presented his closing argument. He the whole thing, but especially his closing arguments, he presented it. It's either a cover-up or what? You're looking at those verdict pages, or what? It's got to be or her being guilty. He set that up, that if they cannot find that it is absolutely a cover-up, they're left with only one choice, and it's got to be that she's guilty. And that was bad move.
I don't even remember hearing that.
I didn't
be
cut
honest.
you off.
Sorry, say that again.
Recovery
Or Jordy?
to the counter.
I was fixing my tractor, and I had a part of the carburetor on her kitchen counter, which I thought was appropriate, and apparently I know better now.
I love my kitchen way more than I love that tractor.
It's granite. It's like rock.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Anyway, Lori in Arizona, do you want to share something? You just joined us here.
I do, real quick. I was watching the town hall meeting last night. By the way, everybody needs to show up at their town hall meetings. I'm big on that. And doing, public comment, or any meetings actually that are public. I'm used to going in and going to judges' meetings. But it's really important that people attend that. But what I noticed from the townspeople, from the townies, I guess is the term, they didn't have that exaggerated accent, right? I mean, there was some that you could pick it up, but when the McAlberts were on the stand, their accent was just so exaggerated to me after listening to the townspeople last night. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, you know, it's kind of like the McAlberts are the Sopranos of Canton, you know. It was kind of that, it just, seriously, I thought, wow. It just seemed like they were just so exaggerated in their
They're the Murdochs
speaking, their
of
dialect, and compared to what I heard last night from just the regular townspeople.
Well, if you saw the video, I'm getting feedback. If you saw the video from the assault, there was a lot of hard accents. That accent, all those people were
right.
real.
It's all about loser.
Yeah. But you
It's
know,
actually such a hard accent
it was
for
kind
me
of that
to do.
But the people that were yelling things were from that same group. You know,
yeah, we want to go down to the car with a bar and a paw.
Right, blah, and the bar. So yeah, I
do like the sidebar though.
We've been saying sidebar.
The sidebar, and then the law.
Yeah,
the law.
I know,
with an R.
And I actually have relatives that live in Boston, and they're Bostonites, and their accent isn't nearly that exaggerated. I mean, it's there, you hear it, but yeah, that was just an observation I made last night watching that. And you know what? I was like, oh, good. You know, a town council meeting where there's a bunch of people and they're going to get up there and talk. And it's important for people to do that. And not that
Hey, all right,
scary.
I'm going to hop off and let somebody else join, okay?
Allison, thank you so much. Appreciate you and the other Allison as well. We've had 2 Allisons. Thank you. We'll see you.
All right, bye.
For those that do want to join, if you look in the description of this video, there's a link to the Streamyard. It's easy to join. If you've never used it before, you can use it from any phone, any computer that has a camera and a microphone. We just ask you're in a quiet place, no music in the background. Please be dressed appropriately for court, all those things. But
can I add one caveat real quick? All right. Yeah. Okay.
This is Thal, the voice of Thal. Oh, go ahead.
People want to see Thal to know if he's hot. That's the question in chat.
Oh God, no, I'm not hot. There's a reason I have a voice for radio. It's because I have a face like a pug. The Eclipsin, I'm behaving myself. I could have said much worse things. I'm being good. What was I going to say? Oh, right. It's going to be the first link, not the second link. Don't make the mistake. I made 4 times in a row. Okay. And I know how YouTube works, and I can stream. I know how to do this all stuff. So yeah. If it messed me up, it'll mess you up. So just FYI.
So I do have a question for you about the, what are we on, StreamYard?
Yes.
So if I want to go on our YouTube channel live, can I get the StreamYard link and stuff through you?
Yes, I can. As a matter of fact, let me.
The second link there down in the description will actually just download StreamYards for you. It'll create an account.
If you wanted to go live with this, is that what you're saying? With this discussion, this panel?
No.
Oh. I'll send you a link.
If I wanted just to go live on the AZDCS Oversight Group channel at some point to, talk about CPS and judges, I can get that.
I can give you a link. It's a referral link. There's a free version. There's a free version of StreamYard, which works for most people. If you want to pay for it, if you use a referral link, I think it gives you $10 off. Then it gives me the $10, to be honest. so
nice.
It helps both of us. But I'll send you a link here. I'll send it on. Send me a quick text to the burner so I have you on the top of the list, and I'll send you a link to that.
Important to remember, folks, that if you use the code for the reduction in price, all proceeds go to Mrs. RA, not RA. Okay, so just it's a selling point.
And then something else, real quick. The George Kelly case in Arizona, I did talk to the court this morning.
Yeah.
So Judge Fink has 60 days
So he's only halfway through that.
It's still under advisement right now. So he has 60 days. I thought it was 30. But
And you're speaking specifically about the judge decision whether or not to dismiss with prejudice or not with prejudice on the court case for the mistrial.
Mhm.
With prejudice meaning they can't bring charges back against Mr. Kelly in that border town shooting. Great. Let's see. I think we might have one more person. Christy.
Hey, you
we've got
guys,
2 more
I'm
people
out of here.
All right. Thank you,
outta
Lori.
here.
Appreciate it. Send me a text and I'll send you that link.
All right. I
We're
hope
gonna-
you got my $10.
Thank you.
I have something real quick I want to throw in.
Go ahead.
One, I'm watching on the trial on Law and Crime right now, and what I find really interesting is the poll that they have up. It's the guilty, not guilty hung jury. There are 71,000 votes, and it is 10% guilty, 83% not guilty, and 8% hung.
I got a theory on
And
that.
Court TV had guilty as well, had not guilty as well. And Court TV is always guilty, no matter what the circumstance. Whatever trial they're showing, it's guilty. And they had not guilty. I've never seen that on Court TV before, ever.
I wanted to say we never got to it. I wanted to know what Braxton's response was to how does he get to guilty.
Oh, yeah. I think the only way you can get to guilty while keeping everything in the trial how it is you have to have believed the state the entire time. From openings until closing. Or not until closings, but up until their last witness. Because I saw Rob and Ian talking about the ME. Because they put the ME on last, which is something you rarely do. You want to have the ME up soon so that you can show the body pictures, so you can show all of this. They didn't. They hit it at the very, very end. Now, they could have buried it in the middle, but the problem with doing that is the ME destroys their case every single time. That is one of the best witnesses for the defense. And if they'd put her up first or near the beginning, they would have seen, oh, none of this makes sense. Why am I listening to anything they have to say?
Plus,
so they had to put in.
They also had to defend the Alberts and the McCabe's for the first 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So you have to be on the state's side 100% until the defense's case. And then you have to completely ignore what the defense says.
Yeah.
That is the only way you can get to guilty without removing parts of the trial that they decided to bring in. If they had brought a theory that used, I don't know, maybe all of the evidence that they knew existed, they could have been able to say, well, no, defense, that's not possible because this, and have the theory actually make some sense.
Yeah. Let me thank you, Braxton. I appreciate that. Let me welcome Melpoy, Christy, MA, and Larissa. Let's go in that order. A quick introduction, where you're from, and then we'll give you each a chance to share something here.
Hello.
Hello, Mel.
Hi. I'm in Pennsylvania and addicted to your channel. That's what and untangling yarn all day because I knit, and this is just not fun.
Looks like a cat found that one.
I wish a cat did. The only thing I don't believe there was a big conspiracy. I think there'd be too many people that would have to be in on it for that to even work. I don't know if she hit him or not. I think because the police, this is my dog.
Oh.
I think because the investigation was so messed up that they'll never know what happened to him. I mean, you can come up with 50 million theories. And this is my other dog. And I'm talking, and it's usually silent in here. So they're like, oh, they want
hey,
to watch me.
Something's happening. That's awesome. Thank you, Melpoy. Christy.
Hey. Hi. I'm from Massachusetts, and I was taking a little bit offense of the accent. comments earlier. When you get emotional in Massachusetts, your accent gets a lot thicker. My children's accents aren't as thick as mine. It waters down, I think, through the general.
How do I mute?
I can mute you.
Okay, do that.
When living here in Massachusetts, when it first started, you got some news broadcasts that promised us some evidence that really led towards guilty at the very beginning. Woman hits her boyfriend cop. Woman kills her boyfriend cop. Blood and tissue underneath the car of the girlfriend. All this stuff was on the news before anything was back in 2022. So it really led to the public thinking that she's guilty. That's all I knew about it until my sister, she knows that I'm a court junkie. So she sent me the Brandy Churchwell podcast and I started watching that and I'm like, well, where's all this evidence that the news said we were going to have? And then I started watching the court trial and there's no evidence, no blood, no tissue. I mean, I've had a lot of head wounds and they bleed. They bleed a lot. And so where's all this blood? I mean, nothing on the taillight pieces. It exploded on his arm and scratched up his arm like that. I know German Shepherds. The reason why they use them for police work is to drag the suspect down. And they cannot bite and hold that long. They bite and drag down. So then they let go and they bite again and drag down. So that's why, like on his elbow, the top mark on the top of his elbow is deeper than the bottom mark because he's dragging down. Same thing with his wrist. So I totally believe that is a bite mark and claw marks on his arms.
Good point.
There's quite a few people saying that there's movement in court.
I don't see any.
I can be the fan if you'd like. Does that help?
Oh, there we
The
go.
only fan.
It's an improvement.
Whoa! For that Paul, let me just.
Bye, Paul.
It's been nice. Larissa and Selena, go ahead in that order.
Missing 4 o'clock today.
Sorry.
The court was leaving at 4 o'clock today because the jury needed to leave at 4 on the bus. So if it's 4 o'clock, that's why there's room at the court.
The jury must be like, I'm out.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm Larissa. I'm from Nashville as well. And I wanted to pop in because my dad was actually a fatality investigator for the Nashville Police Department for 3 years. And he specialized actually in pedestrian fatalities that were hit and runs. And he was an expert all over the country. So I gave him just the evidence that the prosecution presented. And my dad was like, there's no way a car did this damage to this man. He's like, the math doesn't math. The wounds on the arm, the only photos he saw of John were the arm. He said that is absolutely an animal attack. But we talked about the force and the velocity and what damage you would expect to see to the vehicle, what damage you would expect to see to the body. None of that matched what his experience in 35 years of being an expert witness were. And then on top of that, unfortunately, we have a friend whose son was hit and killed by a car at around 30 miles an hour, which is not that much faster than what they're talking about with John O'Keefe. And he was hit and killed. And the car that hit him sustained significant damage to the front end of her vehicle. It was just an unfortunate accident that she didn't see him in the road and it was dark and he was wearing dark clothing. But a 13-year-old boy who was like 5'5" and weighed probably 125 pounds caused significant damage to a very large SUV that was even larger than this Lexus. So chances are a 6 foot, 175-pound man is also going to, cause significant damage to a 7,000-pound Lexus. So I think that they're not going to find her not guilty. I think she should be not guilty for the record, but I think they're going to come up with some compromised verdict where, just like with the Vanderbilt nurse case, they're gonna find her guilty of negligent homicide in some way. But I just wanted to pop in and give my 2 cents of what I had the discussion with my dad.
I think that for the record, I don't think that they can find her guilty on anything. I think they can only find her hung jury because they need to be unanimous in Massachusetts, and to be guilty or not guilty. So if it's anything but unanimous, then it's a hung jury.
Let me pause for just a minute before we go on to, I think, Selena. We still haven't talked to Selena yet. I've got you muted. Somebody had some noise, and I started muting people. So wave your hand if you're trying to talk, and I've got you muted. I don't know how this works because we have mods from multiple channels that are on here. I don't know, I think only comments that I click show up on my stream, and only comments that you click show up on your streams for those that are looking in chat. Just clarification. And I saw a whole bunch of mods that I didn't
see
know.
Comments.
Well, I'll put Mel's up here.
So
there's Mel's.
When I got a super chat, it came up on yours automatically without me clicking it. And then if I reply in StreamYard, it only replies on my live stream, I think, because I'm not seeing it on yours. Okay. So I don't know.
Sounds good. Well, I think it's working. Anyway, Selena, I'm going to unmute you here. I think there was a little audio problem. Just 1 second. Unmute. There we go. Welcome. And what are your thoughts?
Hey, is the audio problem okay now?
It's working.
All right. Of course, I'm usually on the minority. Hi, Jordy, minority friend. But I can't get to guilty on this one. I started out feeling that way in the beginning, and I just kept waiting for the prosecution to come up with the smoking gun, and I just don't think they have. But now the jury's taking so long, I'm wondering if there is going to be a hung jury. That just keeps popping into my head for some reason. I don't think there is a conspiracy. I have issues with that, how there could be so many people involved in a conspiracy, like, the defense and some of the others out there believe, but I don't personally believe that. But I just don't think they presented enough evidence to convict her as guilty. And I personally think she was involved in it in some way, but yeah, there's too much reasonable doubt.
Can I ask a question about that? People keep bringing that up about the number of people in a conspiracy. So, being from Massachusetts, we have lived through huge conspiracies. In the most recent one being the Mass State Police stealing from the retirement funds of their own police officers, and that was a huge team of their own administration and staff people that was just uncovered about 4 or 5 years ago. And then also we lived through the whole conspiracy of the Catholic Church hiding priests, and that was a huge conspiracy, and that was a number of people that knew about it. So a town where you have generations of family members owing you promises and connection. How is that so far-fetched?
So you're saying there's a culture of mistrust right now.
Massachusetts, yes.
To be honest, I think Christy would be best to speak about it. She's from Massachusetts. I didn't even know about this retirement fund thing. This is news to me. I don't like it. It doesn't sound good. But like I said, I think Christy would be the expert on this. The people that live in Massachusetts would be the ones to know. maybe it is easy to do a conspiracy. Some of us, it may not be think it's as easy in other states, but I don't know, a small town, it's very easy in a small town, and that is what Canton seems to be, is a smaller town. It's not far-fetched.
I mean, like, think of your towns that you live in. This town only has 23,000 people in it. But
That's my town.
It's considered a major hub because it has a huge train station to Boston that goes also to Providence, Rhode Island, and a huge subway station that goes to Boston. So it feels like a huge hub, and it's well known, but it only has 23,000 residents.
There's someone from Canton in chat.
Bring them up. Come up.
Any.
Who's
we want the Canton people in here.
We have a link in the description of the video on Recovery Addict.
Canton, so I understand the way this is playing with the small town community. I live close to San Antonio, Texas. Not that close, but close enough. So I've been in the big cities, lived there, but I see a lot of the same mentality in the small town.
Let me welcome Chrissy, by the way.
Hi, how you guys
We've got
doing?
Christy and Chrissy now. Welcome. Let me say this. I'll explain one more time. On the Recovery Addict channel, you might be seeing this several different places. I know because there are a lot of people that are sharing this on their own channels, which is great. But on the Recovery Addict channel, if you click in the description, there is a link that will get you straight to Streamyard, so you can join. If you've never been on YouTube, that's fine. It's painless. I promise we don't bite. So all we ask is that you're in a quiet place and you're very respectful, both in what you show on the screen and what you say. And we'd love to hear your opinion. So if somebody, you have a cell phone or something like that, you can click the link with that and you can connect. Let me answer this question really quickly, then we'll go to Chrissy. Recovery Addict, can you explain what a hung jury is? A jury's job is to reach a conclusion, a verdict. And generally that's unanimous in most cases. Where all of them agree that either yes, they did it, or no, they did not do it. And there are some different charges they get to consider and lesser includeds and all that. But if a jury is not able to perform their job, that they can't all come to the same agreement, that is a hung jury. And a hung jury is, by definition, a mistrial. It means the court has to start over from the beginning. So that if a jury, depending on the state you're in, the process for reaching hung jury is a little different. Sometimes they have dynamite charge or an Allen charge they'll issue where the judge sternly tells them to try again and try harder. Other times they just let it stand. But if the jury can't reach a conclusion unanimously, it'll be hung. Chrissy, let's go to you really quickly. Where are you from? And quick thought.
Salem, Mass.
Salem. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So, yes, with the accents, we just drop the R's.
Yes.
Keep it simple. The more mad we get, the worse it becomes. 100% right. As far as your kids, trust me, I have a 26-year-old. Hers is strong.
I'm just leaning in because the way to learn accents is to like watch how someone's mouth moves. So I'm trying to watch when you guys talk so that I can learn to do the accent because it's so hard.
My brother-in-law, my late brother-in-law was a Boston police officer. So I come to this with kind of a unique outlook. He was one of the primary detectives in the Whitey Bulger case. Corruption is real. It's been generational through the Boston Police Department for many, many years. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, no, that can't happen. Yes, it can, and it does on the regular. I mean, there's an ongoing joke, telephone, telecop, telefriend. You know, that's how it goes. The police department has a high distinction in Boston, and it's very well known that there is a lot of corruption. I mean, if you go looking back 30 years ago, that was when Whitey Bulger was going on. Go further than that. I mean, an offshoot of this is the Sandra Birchmore case.
We have movement in the courtroom.
Same officers involved, some of the same medical examiners. I mean, there's a lot, and it needs to be investigated.
If you guys hold on, we got movement in the courtroom here.
It's probably just them dismissing.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing here.
judge just said. They're
I
done.
so wish there was a verdict.
Oh, me too.
But you know what? Rather than take I'd rather them take their time because then it solidifies it. Then if it comes back too fast, then it's a lot more,
I mean,
less
speaking,
respect, for lack of a better word.
speaking as a resident of Massachusetts, I mean, for us, the big thing was the experts.
Yes.
You know, you have someone that doesn't have any skin in the game. That's who you pay attention to, because if there's skin in the game, you're gonna assume that there could be corruption.
Well,
What do you think about Lucky?
I thought Lucky was very simple. He was a very simple person, and it took a lot for him to tell what
did y'all think of the order in which they presented the evidence on the prosecution side? The witness and the order in which they did it. It didn't feel good to me.
Horrible.
For me, I felt like the prosecution from the jump has been scattered at best. At best, scattered.
They were more.
This isn't a verdict.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
this isn't a verdict, and I'm sure it's probably not because it's 15.
The judge said they just want to go home. The jury had said they want to go home by 4. It looks like they want to get out a little early, and they were delayed last time once they said we want to go home.
They got somewhere to be.
Yeah.
I got a question for the
I'm
panel,
gonna
but
hop off then.
All right, we'll see you, Vicky. Thank you.
All
I got a
right,
question for the
bye.
panel, but especially Christy and Chrissy. Okay, so it's going to be aimed at you two because you're in Massachusetts. All right.
Mhm.
So, and
All right.
everybody just play pretend
Hang on.
with me for a minute.
Hold on. Let's listen to the judge real quickly.
Okay.
We hear nothing.
Yeah, Scott, we hear nothing.
You can't hear. Oh my
No, I
goodness.
just turned my TV up too.
Okay.
Boomer.
So she just said, "You want to go home? You want to go home for the day?" I'm running my audio through the wrong.
Did you understand
She
my
just sent
sign
him home.
language?
She just sent him home for the day. I'm here in the court, and it sounds beautiful. They're playing
Sounded
choir
beautiful.
music. Angels are singing. Just kidding.
I love your sign language, Ada. I love that you're doing that.
The jury went home for the day.
I'm in-
They're going to come back again tomorrow morning. Thal, go ahead with your question really quickly.
Yes, sir. Okay, so we've got Jackson, the defense lawyer. He's from California. Unanimity's from Boston. Okay, and for those of you who don't know, the Google Maps is showing Dedham looks to be about an hour or two away from Boston, so far enough. Population town of 25,000, and Karen is from Mansfield, Massachusetts. So technically, all quote unquote outsiders of this little town. So if on the jury we got a couple of your outsiders stay out of my town, how do we think that those jurors might take? And this might be what's holding it up. You might have folks saying you're from out of here.